I'm bored. It's New Year's Day. Let's watch JesterBell. All right, board fam. So I thought since it's the end of the year, before we jump into a new year, let's check out JesterBell's channel. I haven't watched her videos in a while, but a lot of people are reacting to her now. So I thought, let's do a semi-wellness check and see what she's up to. Now, I typed in JesterBell's name in the YouTube search, and I got this, right? 2 videos back to back where I guess she has some sort of grifter personality disorder or something, because it's not truly medical. It is sort of contained here to YouTube, where it shows 2 days ago, the video is about the leaked X-Men teaser, and it says, "They got me, my boy," and she looks like she's excited. Darn you, Marvel. Avengers Doomsday X-Men trailer looks, and when you hover over it, let me go ahead and do that here. When you hover over this, it says, "Looks amazing." And then 6 hours ago, she's like, wait, hold on. What came over me? I said something honest and true for once, but I have a quota to fill with outrage content. So 1 day later, I'm going to film a video that's contrary to the one that I just made a day before, and then upload that today. And that is Avengers Doomsday plot leaks. Sounds like they will destroy the MCU forever. It was always doom. It's a trap. Instantly dies. So from like looking at this at face value, it's like you love the trailer, but then all of a sudden you hate it like 24 to 48 hours later. So this is what you get from JesterBell. Let's look at her channel, and I'm going to pick a video to watch. At this point, it might not even be a debunking. It's the end of the year. We might just point and laugh. All right, so what do we have to choose from here? We have the Avengers Doomsday duo videos, where it's like one of them is excited about the movie and the other looks like it's an outrage video about the movie. I think we're going to skip those for now. I might come back to those next week. We'll see. Are we afraid of the alpha male? Why are we afraid of the alpha male hero anyway? Avengers Doomsday teaser falls flat. Desperate. Please come back. Here's why. We also have the worst movies I watched in 2025. Number 1 will shock you. That's a 40-minute video. That's a 40-minute video. You know, the one that interests me the most is why are we afraid of the alpha male hero anyway? But I think this one here probably has the most point and laugh moments. So let's go ahead and watch this one and see what she has to say. All right, due to the fact that I don't think she ever really engages in movies outside of the fandom stuff, this list is probably going to be very predictable. It's going to be full of all of the movies she's complained about this year, which is pretty much every video she's made about movies. So I don't think anything on this list is going to shock us. Number 1 will shock you. I don't know. I don't know if I can be shocked. So let's go ahead. We're going to pitch her up a little bit. Let's go ahead and speed her up. Let's go ahead and do 1.25. We'll do 1.25. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. JesterBell, aka Female Frodo Baggins, is here. And I made it. I made it through the 2025 movies. The worst year for blockbusters that I have ever experienced in my life. Ooh. I saw so many bad blockbusters that just made me just want to go home. Just the pain of sitting through all of these boring and awful blockbusters, and the quality of some that is just unbelievable that we got so many seminal, awful movies in 1 year. It is absolutely insane. But this is my reward at the end of it all. Doing a video about the top 10 worst movies that I watched all year long. Now,
Now, I want to say here, I don't think, again, there's going to be any surprises. I suspect that every one of these movies are going to be your major tentpole or mass-produced films. I don't think we're going to see anything that sort of breaks that mold at all. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's predictable. It's easy. It's an easy list to do because a lot of movies this year were controversial. So no surprises, I suspect, from this. And I just want to put that out there again before we continue to watch this video.
To explain some things about this list. This is going to be the worst movies that I watched all year long. Right. So I don't want to hear anything about some sort of obscure indie film that...
Oh, there we go. That's the disclaimer. So she's like, I only watch popcorn flicks. So you go to popcorn flicks and you expect them all to be these major, like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 movies. It's not, I don't think the vast majority of them are usually that good. I think they're all just entertaining. I don't think they ever break the mold. But she's giving herself a disclaimer here. Good on you.
You watch that nobody knows about, that you believe is actually the worst film of the year. Anyone can only go off of what they watch themselves. Now, that said, I know that there are...
That's not true. Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic and a lot of these other guys criticize movies that I know for a fact, based on what they've said in their videos, that they either didn't watch them in theaters with everybody else, or they watched a chopped up version online that is missing things, or they're lying about watching it at all. So there's different ways you can watch movies, for sure, 100%.
Going to be two films that people are going to be wondering where they were on this list. Two films that I've seen consistently come off in like worst movies of the year list: Regretting You and Electric State. Now, I have to say, unfortunately, those were two.
I'm going to predict that either Superman or Fantastic Four are going to be number one. I don't know. I have a feeling, because she really hates Pedro and she really hates James Gunn. So I feel like if those movies are not one or two, then I don't know. I have a feeling they're one or two for sure.
Two movies that I wasn't able to get around
could be
seeing.
Wrong.
I didn't even have Netflix.
She's not well.
Electric State dropped. And honestly, I don't want to watch it right now. I probably should, to inform me about how Doomsday is going to be. But yeah, those are some big, worst movies of the year that I'm sure some might wonder where they are. And I just didn't get around to watching them. But I'll take your word for it that they're terrible. Another rule is this has to be movies that were released in 2025 that are the worst. Otherwise, Amelia Perez would easily be...
I mean, that's the list, right? The worst movies of 2025. That's the fucking list, right? So why are you even bringing this up? What's the point of this? You just want to throw this out there? Was this not on your list from last year? Did you even do this last year? The fuck?
Number one on this list, but it technically came out in November of 2024. So unfortunately, I cannot revisit that film, even though I very much wanted to, which probably might actually be the worst film I've ever seen.
You just talk shit about it on this list now. Maybe it doesn't have a number, but it's here in this video. So it's not numerically classified, but you just did what you said you weren't going to do. Why even bring it up if you're not going to talk about it? You just said it would definitely be on the list. Holy shit. Okay.
In my life. But yes, we are going forward with the worst movies that I personally watched this year. Now, I know that there are going to be some unpopular opinions on this list, including my number one.
Oh no, unpopular opinions because we know that you're a big old grifter just making things up for money? Shocking. Shocking that you would be so sarcastic and hateful towards movies that are just in the okay category, and you make them seem like they're the worst movies ever just to make money on YouTube. Color me shocked.
Film this year. You are going to be very, very surprised, I think, about what I say is my number one worst movie of this year.
So.
But instead of getting furious at me, I would love to hear your own assessments of these various movies. Which of the movies on this list do you think don't belong here? Which ones do you agree with? And are there movies that you yourself watched that you think would deserve to be on this list? So
I will give my thoughts on these movies as she gives her opinions on them. Because I want to be very straightforward. Like, if I agree with her that they weren't good to me, I will say it. I will say that. But again, this is more of a point and laugh thing. I'm not trying to debunk her opinion about movies. Not trying to do that. I could. Because usually her opinion is shit. But I'm not going to. It's the end of the year. Let's just get through this.
So without further delay, let us get into it. Let us get into what I think are the worst movies that I watched looking back on 2025 and having seen.
Let's do it, fam. Let's go.
Blockbusters now. Now, first, I want to start off with an honorable mention. This is a movie.
Bro, you've already done this. You gave an honorable mention for a movie in 2024. Just make it a top 12 list and throw in a 2024 movie. What the fuck?
That, I will agree, I don't think that it deserves to be on a list of worst movies for this year. However, it has a special place of bad in my heart because of what it failed to do. That movie is Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Okay, she said we would be shocked at the number one, right? That would shock us. This fucking shocks me. How did this movie, as much shit as you talked about this movie, how did this movie not end up in your top 10? Holy shit. This is shocking. We can end the video here. I am surprised this isn't in your top 2. This is more shocking to me than number 1. So now we have to see where Superman lands. I'm very curious.
I can hear the shock and horror already at putting this on this list. It's not on the worst list. It is the honorable mention. Now, why is it even
the
here?
honorable mention of the
I
worst
have been
list?
waiting my entire life to see a good Fantastic Four movie, and for years I thought that the MCU would be able to actually do it. Now, when I first watched this movie, I thought it was fine. It just seemed fine for compared to all the other.
And then the grift energy kicked in when you got home, and you're like, I can make more money if I shit on this movie, so let me pump out like 4 other videos trashing it, which she did. I covered some of them, but yeah, pumping out more videos trashing it because it was more money for you. Let's be clear.
Bad Marvel movies, but the people I was with really described a lot of its flaws. But I was still willing, even though I acknowledged those flaws and brought them up in my review, I was still willing to see it a second time.
Right.
And the second time, I got absolutely nothing out of it. I got absolutely nothing out of this film, not from the characters, not from the story. The only thing good about Fantastic Four First Steps is the visuals and one of the chase sequences. But after that, you realize it is a wholly substanceless film. The casting was very, very mediocre. They did not bring a lot to their characters. That goes for everyone. There was not a lot of character development. This world is apparently just going to get destroyed in Secret Wars. There weren't a lot of notable action sequences. The ending really, really falls.
Actually, it had some of the best action sequences we've had in a Marvel movie in a while, in my opinion. But okay, let's continue.
Flat. And they don't even do the characters right. They were even afraid.
They did, but whatever.
To do the things. It's clobbering time. You can just hear how weak it sounds in the movie compared to how they portray these characters elsewhere.
It's clobbering time! Her and her obsession with Marvel rivals, I swear, should be studied. Should be studied. When it comes time to do some sort of like diagnosis or anything of her, just like you need to focus on this one and figure out what the obsession with this is, because it's crazy. Everything gets compared to Marvel rivals. It's a fucking video game. It's not the same as a movie. 2 different things.
Once again, it felt like they were embarrassed of their source material. We barely even saw...
Embarrassed, considering they went as cheesy as they could to make this work. They even made it look like it was in the time that it was in the comics. This movie went for authentic. Literally, it did. I'm not saying it nailed it in every turn. There is some criticism to be had there. But to act like it didn't nail the aesthetic is weird. It's really weird.
Reed's stretching powers because apparently they were embarrassed of it behind the scenes. And Pedro Pascal is definitely one of the worst superhero movie castings of all time.
But it's not on the worst list, everybody. It's number 11, honorable mention of the worst list, but not on the worst list.
And in the aftermath of Fantastic Four, it might have been the highest grossing Marvel movie, but no one talked about it after it came out. It didn't inspire any sort of passion towards it, positive or negative, to the point where when...
Yes, people did talk about it. You talked about it multiple times after it came out. Multiple times. People in your space talked about it multiple times. I don't understand this. Nobody talked about it shit. You guys would have absolutely no career on YouTube making money if no one was talking about these things. It's really weird that you say that. When you guys say this, it's cringy.
It came out on digital and Blu-ray. I was even surprised to see it in the store because no one was talking about it. And apparently it is the...
Because that's how it works. When nobody talks about something, they cancel the physical media releases of it. That's how business works. From the mind of JesterBell.
Lowest viewed Marvel movie of the year released on Disney Plus. Just no one cares about it. And that is very disheartening to me because this was like the 3rd or 4th time a Fantastic Four movie had been attempted and just failed. It completely destroys my faith in the MCU attempting, say, an X-Men movie.
Well, it could also be that the Fantastic Four is just not interesting enough to the general public. I mean, the thing about it is this was a movie that people knew was going to be risky simply because the source material was somewhat outdated compared to other things. Because the concept of the Fantastic Four is really hard to make work in modern times, which is why they did the movie the way they did it. But we're going to ignore all that and just pretend that Marvel didn't put their best foot forward with this movie. Even though they went out of their way to advertise the fuck out of it in every way they possibly could. Clearly, they were ashamed of the movie. Clearly.
They proved that they really just could not bring it when it came to its characters and story with that Fantastic Four movie. They couldn't get anyone to care, and the casting just failed. And that's why Fantastic Four gets an honorable mention, is I think it's an exceedingly mid-movie.
I mean, you gave it an entire section in the video, so it's really a top 11. Let's be clear here. This isn't a top 10, it's a top 11. That wasn't an honorable mention. That was a clear, like you clearly were breaking down all of the issues with the movie. So it's a top 11 list. Let's just be fair about it.
I have no desire to ever watch it again, having seen it twice now. And it failed these characters all over again. There's a reason why they are not advertising Doomsday with the Fantastic Four. They failed.
The Fantastic Four will be in Doomsday advertising. But she's saying this now, knowing full well that like in a month or whatever, we're going to see advertising with Fantastic Four in it. And her brain dead viewers will forget about it. Because if they're watching her, their minds have been melted. Their brains have been melted.
These characters another time. And even though I know from reading the comics that these characters do have a lot of potential, so that is why Fantastic Four is the honorable mention on my list. Right. Now we get to the top 10 worst movies that I watched
it's
in
a top
2025.
11, sis. Just keep it 100.
Number 10, Lilo and Stitch. Okay. Now listen, I might not have a personal attachment to the Lilo and Stitch movie, but even I can recognize what went horribly wrong with its live-action remake.
What went wrong with it? Tell us.
You take a film, and I will say Lilo and Stitch, the animated version, was an original film, and it was colorful, and its themes are very clear and intelligent, and you basically ruin all of that for the Lilo and Stitch live-action remake. Everything looks muddy and dirty, and Stitch himself is barely in the film. They take the original one that from the original animated version, take everything that worked about that and ruined it. Like Bubbles, the big twist with him is ruined.
I don't have much of an opinion about this. I know a lot of people that love the cartoon. Like it's their, like everybody has their cartoon, right? Their Pixar, their Disney, whatever. They have their thing. This was never that for me, but it meant a lot to a lot of people. So I know they have some pretty big opinions about it. I don't, but we're going to let her get through it.
In the film, where we find that out early on, his complexity is taken away and he's just turned into a joke. But the most egregious thing about Lilo and Stitch, in addition to being overly long, is it destroys the entire point of the original movie. That Ohana means family and family stays together. Completely destroyed because they thought it would be more empowering to have Nani go out.
Holy shit, how many cuts were in that was chopped up. Like she was chopping up a meal or something. Holy shit. Cut City.
Off to college and leave Lilo with some neighbors at the very end, completely destroying the entire point of the first movie. And they tried to sugarcoat it by an epilogue that showed that some sort of device.
By the way, I didn't score it, but I enjoyed Fantastic Four. I know I'm going back to that, but I said I was going to say it and then I didn't. I enjoyed Fantastic Four. I thought it was a really good movie. It was in my top, I guess there's only 4, right? So it's my number 3 for superhero movies this year. I thought it was good. I do think they missed the mark a little bit here and there without the movie, but I don't think it was a disaster like she's making it out to be, clearly.
That the aliens had left behind allowed Nani to visit Lilo, and I think that was a response to abhorrent test screenings that would be such a miserable ending otherwise, but the choice is still there. So that is why Lilo and Stitch is number 10 on this list, for its complete misunderstanding of the original movie, and yet another live-action remake that destroyed and spat upon its source material. Now,
okay, so I just want to point out that you spent a little bit of time on Lilo and Stitch. You spent a lot of time on your honorable mention of Fantastic Four. So there's that. As far as my opinion about the Lilo and Stitch live action movie, it's about all the Disney live action movies. They keep churning them out because occasionally these movies will make a lot of money, right? So they're willing to take a risk on it because the ones that don't perform as well get lifted up by the ones that overperform a lot. Lilo and Stitch is something really big for them. So they're going to keep doing it. Whether you like it or not. I thought the movie was just all right. It wasn't great, but it was all right. I don't think it was a disaster. Very few movies do I think are complete disasters, and I'm very disappointed when they are disasters. That one to me wasn't a complete disaster. It has some redeeming qualities to it.
Number 9 on my list is Predator Badlands. Now, this was
this being in the worst list is crazy at any level. I just want to put this out there. Predator Badlands being on somebody's worst list at all, even in the top 10, is crazy talk. This is something that you should definitely go see a therapist for if you're putting this in your worst list. I don't see it. I just don't see it. But let's hear what kind of bullshit she's going to say.
Painful one to watch. If you know anything about the Predator franchise,
she doesn't even know anything about the Predator franchise. Miss me with this shit. This whole gatekeeping bullshit, starting out with that, shut the fuck up. Literally, shut the fuck up. You don't know enough about this to even talk about it. Your review was bullshit on this, just like everybody else in your space. But let's go. Let's see what she's got to say.
First movie was primal, and it was testosterone fueled, and it was
And if those are the only things that you liked about that first movie, and now you're complaining that they're giving an actual story to a predator, fuck off. Fuck off with that.
Horror movie mixed with action. It was a very, very serious science fiction movie.
Very serious. I'm going to let that sit with the fans of the original Predator. Very serious. Very serious. Okay.
Predator Badlands took that premise, a premise that has always been more so skewing to R-rated horror / action. Right. There were some PG-13 movies in there with Alien versus Predator. Sure, for sure, there were bad Predator movies before. But Predator Badlands did what no other one of these Predator movies had done.
And it ended up making the most money. Right? That's why that happens. Studios are willing to take a bigger risk on a movie that's PG-13 than they are with a rated R movie. That's the reality of it. It's not just unique to Predator Badlands. It's to films in general, Hollywood in general. They typically try to make movies more accessible because more accessible means more money. Very few rated R movies break through that ceiling and make tons of money. There are some that do it, but a lot of times studios will try their best to keep something PG-13 if they can. That's an issue with Hollywood, not exclusive to this movie.
It took a premise as serious and as dark and testosterone fueled as Predator and turned it into a Disney movie with an insecure Predator who's the runt of the litter, who gets a female best friend who's a Sith.
Not a female, a woman. I know this triggers everybody, so we're going to do this again. She's not a female. It's an android, a synthetic that presents as a woman. Female is a biological category. Woman is a social category. They're two different things, not a female. I don't care if the actress is a female in real life, just like this actor that's playing a predator is not a predator in real life. In the movie, this character is a synthetic being that presents as a woman. Point blank, period. Cry about it in the comments.
And gets literally some animal friends, and he learns the importance of friendship and not being on his own and expressing his emotions. It was absolutely ridiculous to watch such a premise as Predator that took itself so seriously and such an adult thing in the past and turn it to a literal Disney movie with MCU humor and all of that.
Yeah, there's like 4 jokes in the movie. 4. I don't know, like, what constitutes as Disney humor? 1 joke? Is that the number that you have to hit? One, you tell 1 joke in a movie, it becomes Disney humor? Is that the bar? I don't know what the bar is. I'm not sure. But I would say like 2, 3 jokes in a movie probably isn't quote unquote Disney humor. This is why this list is bullshit. I knew this was going to happen. It
was just so painful for me to watch that I just wanted to leave after the first 5 minutes.
Then do it. Leave. Who gives a fuck? I don't care. I don't think your audience cares. You could have made a video just critiquing the first 5 minutes of the movie and probably made the same amount of views and money on it because your audience doesn't care if you actually watch the movie or not.
But if you just set aside that what they did to the Predator franchise here for a minute, I don't think it's a great movie on its own.
Okay. So subtracting all of that criticism, let's hear why you don't think it's a great movie on its own. If you take away all the Predator stuff and the Disney stuff, what makes it not a good movie on its own? Go.
Just more checkboxing from the Disney tropes that...
Well, then it's not... Okay. All right. Let's run this back for a second. Let's hear this again.
The first 5 minutes. But if you just set aside that what they did to the Predator franchise here for a minute, I don't think it's a great movie on its own. Okay. It's just more checkboxing from the Disney tropes that we...
So what Disney tropes are checkboxed? I can't wait to hear this. Go ahead.
We've seen over and over again with the Manic Pixie Dream Girl and the themes of friendship and making sure that the female character rescues herself.
Right. So these are all exclusively Disney checkboxes. This is what it is. These are all Disney So no other movie studio in the world does this. These are Disney's checkboxes. Got it. Continue.
Animal sidekicks and all of that.
Exclusive to Disney. Go ahead.
That kind of stuff. They even Disneyfied the big monster that the Predator was trying to hunt that was supposed to be this like fearsome beast that none of the other Predators could take down, and it turns out just to be another goofy friend character like everyone else. It was embarrassing. And so while I can't say that Predator as an individual movie was the worst thing I've seen all year, it definitely has a place on my list of one of the most painful experiences that I had to endure at the theater this year.
Yeah, if Disingenuous if you could see that physically manifested, it would be what we're looking at right now on screen. If there was a physical manifestation of Disingenuous, Exhibit A, right here. All right, continue.
Here. Speaking of painful experiences, number 8 is Avatar, Fire and Ash. Now, I am grading these movies on a lot of different things.
Well, it's your list. You can grade them whatever you want. I would say Predator Badlands is probably in one of my best movie lists from 2025. I absolutely enjoyed it. I saw it multiple times. I didn't speak to anybody anecdotally that didn't like the movie. Everyone thought it was okay to great. So it's just weird to me. But anyway, continue. It's good you're giving a criteria now instead of at the beginning of the video. Because we didn't know. I just assumed it was whatever made you money on YouTube. But let's hear what you got to say.
I personally felt about them, the objective qualities of them.
Objective qualities. You've not mentioned one objective thing yet. There's no objective quality you've mentioned. An objective quality would be something outside of the subjective art that you're viewing. And you can't lie about the Disney checkboxes. I mean, you tried to, but those things aren't exclusive to Disney. So that doesn't count. So you've not really said anything objective yet in terms of real criticism. So, I don't know what that means. Let's continue.
And just all of that. Is there anything about them that I can say positive? The reason why Avatar Fire and Ash does not get a higher ranking on this list, even though I can say it was probably my second worst experience at the theater this year, which is saying something.
Second worst, but it's number 8? Second worst, but it's number 8. Let's run this back. I just want to make sure these are new headphones, but let me make sure I heard her right.
Is there anything about them that I can say positive? The reason why Avatar Fire and Ash does not get a higher ranking on this list, even though I can say it was probably my second worst experience at the theater this year, which is saying something, because of the sheer boredom I felt watching this, just not being able to glean anything from it, and it going on for literally 3 hours or more.
Which you knew going into it. You knew it was a 3-hour movie. But continue.
It was just such a painful experience, and it's so fresh in my mind. The reason why it's number 8 and not any closer to the top is that there are some things I can at least say positively about it.
So why is Predator number 9 and this one number 8? I don't think she said anything positive about Predator or Lilo and Stitch. So why would those be higher on your worst list instead of closer to the top if this movie is number 8 and you have positive things to say about it? Make it make sense. It's not making sense, sis. It's not making sense.
That would have to do with the visuals, that the visuals were, as always, very, very impressive, and at least you can see the last remnants of a film being made by an actual filmmaker, someone who actually has some creativity and isn't totally just obeying studio heads. Avatar Fire and Ash, unlike a lot of films this year, at least felt like a film. It didn't feel like another piece of content, however.
Yeah. So it should have been like number 10 or honorable mention, because you trashed Fantastic Four worse than you're talking about this movie, but somehow Fantastic Four didn't end up in your top 10. Crazy, right? Is it just me? That feels crazy, but okay.
It's give or take when you give a filmmaker so much control. On the one hand, it doesn't feel like just another corporate mandated film that made its decisions based on an algorithm, like, say, Predator, Badlands, and Lilo and Stitch.
Right. So why is this higher on the list? It's not making sense to me. You're praising it. You said it was your second worst experience, but it's number 8. However, you're saying that it's better than both, or Fantastic Four, Lilo and Stitch, and Predator Badlands, but for some reason it's higher on the list.
So many other films on this list.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I just saw an interview today where James Cameron was talking about his refusal to cut anything from the film. And that's the problem. On the other hand, when a director gets too much power, is that they're not able to kill their darlings. And that's a huge problem with Avatar Fire and Ash, is how overly long and repetitive it is. But it's repetitive in more ways than one. On the one hand, you get so many scenes that felt like we've already been there and done that in the film itself, from just revisiting locations and characters getting captured and let go within.
I won't disagree with that. I think the third act of Avatar Fire and Ash is very similar to the second film, Way of Water. I do think they have similarities to them. I preferred Fire and Ash, though. I think Fire and Ash is a better movie than Way of Water. I think it's a better movie than the first movie if you're really talking about the structure of the film. But I can see I'm not going to challenge her on the fact that it does feel samey in some parts, but still it shouldn't be in anybody's worst list. That's just crazy.
10 minutes and capture it again. Avatar Fire and Ash does not make much use of its new premise of a fire tribe that has gone away from Ava and all of that kind of stuff, and it actually just rehashes things that were already done and explored in the first Avatar, but especially Way of Water, which makes this just a soup of boredom, because not only are you watching a movie that is
a soup of boredom, that's like poetry for her. That's quite poetic, JesterBell.
Stretched very thin where they didn't cut anything, but it's not making use of any of its new elements, and it's just rehashing things that we've already seen in another film.
Right, so the elements of the movie that we saw for the first time were this offshoot tribe that doesn't worship the same God as everybody else, that doesn't really communicate with everybody else, that steals from people, that has a very barbaric way of murdering and dishonoring other people, other Na'vi on the planet. So all of those are new things. So if you're going to sit on here and complain about something real, like the fact that some of it feels rehashed, which is fine, fair criticism, I feel it's very weird to immediately start lying after that.
It's a movie that is repeating previous films and things that have already done, and it takes those things and repeats it again and again in the same film, making it the most boring experience I have had at the theater this year, where I found myself not even having much to say about it by the end.
Anecdotally, people got up and clapped for this movie when it was done in my first viewing of it. The very first weekend that I saw it, people got up and clapped for it. But okay.
So that is why it is placed at number 8 on my list. I recognize that there are elements about it, like the visuals, that actually feel inspired, and it actually feels like a film, but you just get the other side of the coin here, where when it just no one telling a filmmaker no creates a lot of other problems. But in addition to that, I just feel like beyond the visuals and certain aesthetics, that James Cameron just does not have anything more to say with this universe. And that's why it is so repetitive at this point. Number 7, Tron Ares. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one because I just really despise this movie. Like Fire and Ash, I can say that the visuals were very good in this film, but the praises for this film begin and end there. The characters of this film are paper thin. The dialogue is awful. Some of the worst I have heard all.
I don't have a lot of positive stuff to say about Tron Ares. I think it's a fine movie. It's just okay. It might end up in my top 10 worst list if I had to put it there. But I've seen worse movies than this in 2025. I've seen a lot of movies. She says she doesn't want to talk about stuff that's not like major films or things that had wide release or whatever criteria was. But I've seen other movies that are worse than this one. This is just another movie that feels like it was created to sell merchandise with and park rides and stuff like that. That's really all I have to say about it. It's just, it's not a memorable movie for me, but let's hear what she has to say.
Year, where sometimes characters will just vomit exposition dialogue at you and other times say things that no human being would say. And the movie takes the trope that Disney has used since Star Wars The Force Awakens, where it tears down all of the progress made by a previous film and gives it to the new characters they are desperate for you to like. It goes with the male character is a failure and disappeared and the girl boss had to take over after him.
Oh, of course we're getting into that. Yeah. That's why I wanted to talk about that other video about like the hating male leads or alpha males or whatever. I do want to talk about that video. So let me know in the comments below if you want me to check that one out. I think that would be a really interesting one to look at. Maybe we'll do it like in a couple of weeks or something. Just let me know in the comments below.
Like a lot of movies that I've watched this year, it feels like it was made by an algorithm. And I genuinely believe that with the script writing of this film, they used AI. That is how bad the dialogue was during this movie. That is how cliched and recycled everything felt. It is an absolute trash film that literally just spits on everything that came before and can't create anything new, like so many films that we see in the modern day. Okay. Number 6, Elio. Now, you might be surprised to see this so high up on the list. Now, it was difficult to decide where I was.
Is she going to dislike it because of the erased gay storyline? Because the thing is, from what we know of this movie, they erased an element of it that was supposed to be a queer-centric story element to Elio's character, according to Disney. So I'm wondering if she's going to mention anything about that because it was removed from the film. And a lot of people that got to see the early version of it say the movie was better before they removed those elements from it. That's what the articles say. Again, this is all like insider stuff. I don't know if all of that is true, but I will say the fact that the movie, like removing queer elements from the story made the movie less interesting. It's passes the smell test for me personally. But let's see if she brings that up.
I'm going to put Tron Ares and where I was going to put Elio on this list. Experience-wise, I probably had a worse experience watching Tron Ares, just being so done with it as soon as it assassinated the character of Sam Flynn from the previous movie. But the reason why Elio is higher on this list is Tron Ares is a movie that I would just rather forget about, whereas Elio, I think it really shows the decline of a studio that was once as shining a gem as Pixar. Elio was originally supposed to be a film that definitely had more of a political and social message to it, but Disney Pixar is scared after all of the controversy around the politics and activism being pushed in movies.
Surprise, surprise, you are part of that problem. You and everybody in your circle are part of that problem. You are. You guys have stoked the flames of this anti-political, anti-social angle that movies are doing to the point where they're removing things because they fear of the backlash they're going to get from people like you. So you're a part of the problem. Don't pretend here that they decided arbitrarily that this was an issue for them. They didn't. This is something that was decided because of stuff that people like you say, JesterBell. So you bear some responsibility for this.
So essentially what you get with the final product of Elio is a film that has had its guts taken out and tried to be reworked as...
Are you going to talk about what those guts were? It was a queer-centric story. That was what the story was going to be. And they removed that from the story. Are you going to say what it was that was removed? I'm not going to say I would respect her, but I would love for her to just say it. It would make me feel so good if she actually admits that removing the elements of the story about this queer character made the movie worse. I would love for her to say that. Just say it, please.
Something completely different. And what that other something is a wholly generic movie that doesn't make sense. It's a story of a boy who desperately wants to be captured by aliens because he's not feeling any love from the people of Earth or his aunt, which is a bit confusing because his aunt is portrayed to be very supportive of him and trying to connect with him from the beginning. Where exactly does this idea of Elio wanting to be captured by aliens come from? Where does this obsession really come from? I'm going off of memory, but it didn't really make sense to me. Well, the reason is that this is a gutted film. In the original, it wasn't supposed to be Elio's aunt, it was supposed to be Elio's mom, and he was supposed to have two parents, which is completely blown up in this film and remade into a different premise. In the original film, he didn't want to get captured. We can see that from the original trailer.
The queer
that's
stuff?
The problem you have with Elio is that it's clearly a gutted...
You're going to mention the queer stuff? I'm waiting. Here, listening, new headphones. Queer stuff?
Film that there was inevitably going to be some plot holes now as they're just trying to rearrange things from the original that they weren't comfortable with putting out to the public. And then there's the animation, and I absolutely...
So she completely ignored that. She completely ignored it. She didn't talk about it at all. Keep in mind, the Chuds went hard on this one. They went really hard on this. They talked about it a lot after the film was released and bombed in theaters. I'm just going to jump over here. Pixar's Elio reportedly stripped of queer representation after test screenings. It was talked about. It was everywhere. People in her space talked about this pretty heavily. So it's interesting you left that out of your video. It's interesting that you skipped over it and act like that the two parent thing was what made it less understandable, and that it left plot holes and story elements that were not there, that didn't make sense. It's funny that you talk about that, but then leave out the fact that the queer elements of the storyline that were removed had nothing to do with it. Even though the test screeners said, the people that went to test screeners said that was something that was a big problem being taken out of the film. But you left it out of this. Such a disingenuous take. So fucking disingenuous.
I hate that bean mouth animation that just shows that Pixar is a completely gutted company in and of itself, where they have new people who have a completely different level of experience working there. But the animation went further than just having forgettable bean mouth designs for so many of the characters. But as was noted by Film Threat and that I brought up in my review, everything in the film is in the center. Like they made it to be advertised on TikTok or something, when typically it's breaking one of the main rules of animation and composition in general, that things are more interesting if you put them at an angle, if you put them on the sides. That is the rule of thirds. Which is why Elio is number 6 on my list, because it just shows what a
disingenuous take. Really, what a disingenuous take on the movie. Doesn't get any worse than that. That's awful. I'm not saying the movie is great, but I'm saying if you're going to talk about the fact that the movie was gutted because of social and political stuff, you should actually bring up the reason why. That would be very useful.
In what disarray a once great company like Pixar was. I think that this is one of their rock bottom films that shows that even competency when it comes to animation has fallen away with the company, and their identity and how their animation would be styled has completely fallen away. And so that is why Elio is so high on my list. Okay. And now we get to the fun part. The top 5 worst movies I watched in 2025. Number 5 in the top 5 worst movies I watched all year. The Minecraft movie.
I'm going to put it out there that barring any weird, dumb shit that she might say, I didn't think it was a good movie either. So I would probably put this in my worst list. It would probably be in my top 5. So I don't disagree with her on this one, but let's see what she has to say.
Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting that I watched this. My review of it was saying that I wanted to walk out of that movie, and that couldn't have been more true. The Minecraft movie was painful to watch. It was like...
Real talk, Minecraft might be in my top 2. It might be in my top 2. I think it's one of my least favorite movies of 2025.
They knew that they just needed to slap the word Minecraft movie on anything and people would watch it. The plot of this movie, what little there was, felt like an obligation. Something about a little boy feeling like he wasn't appreciated for his creativity in the real world, so he wants to escape to the Minecraft world, and then he just decides, no, he'd rather go back. That is as much as I remember about what plot there was for the movie. But the movie is not interested in having a plot.
There was more than that, but it's fine. The movie just wasn't good.
Or character development or anything like that. No, it's wanting to have people like Jack Black and Jason Momoa scream and make silly voices and faces throughout the movie while running around in front of an obvious green screen.
And it worked. They made a ton of money off of it. So we're going to get more stuff like this. That's the reality of it.
The entire purpose behind this movie is that kids will see anything with Minecraft on it, and they couldn't be more right. It made almost $1 billion at the box office and would have continued to make money if they had mysteriously pulled it from theaters when they really didn't need to. This movie was nothing more than a meme for the TikTok generation to get out in theaters and trash them while screaming chicken jockey. Once again, it is not interested in its plot at all. It is interested in referencing things from the Minecraft game and having characters scream and make silly faces in front of green screens. They say that video game movies might be the future of cinema, but I have to say, if video games movies continue to be running off of name only with no plot or anything that holds up on its own merits rather than just getting butts into seats through the IP name, then they're going to continue to be the things that are choking movie theaters and movies in general out of very slow death.
Okay, I want to push back on that a little bit, not on the movie, because I thought the movie was shit too. You have complained about the fact that so many movies, specifically Superman, aren't bringing money into theaters, and therefore that is a problem. It's a big issue, regardless of whether or not the movie is good. It's not bringing in money to theaters. Here we have Minecraft, which brought in a ton of money for theaters. And you're saying that that is a problem, that the theaters are going to suffer a problem from a movie that brings money into them. I've got news for you. The theaters don't give a fuck. If the movies perform well and make money for them, they don't really care if it's high art, if it's got a great story. They don't give a fuck about any of that. So to them, it doesn't matter. It's all money. That's the same way the studios feel about stuff. So if you're going to say your criticism is movies like Superman aren't good because they don't make money, but then you say that Minecraft, even though it made over $1 billion when it's all said and done, that movie is a problem for theaters when it made over $1 billion, then you're just contradicting your own standard. You're contradicting your own standard for what studios want from movies. If a movie is good and it only makes 650 or 700 million, but then a movie is bad and it makes over $1 billion, which one do you think the studio is going to make a sequel for faster? The one that makes over $1 billion. That's what you would say, right? That is what JesterBell would say about it. So if you're going to criticize the amount of money something made in the rest of your list in these top 4, if you're going to bring it up at all, we're going to revert back to what you just said about Minecraft. We're going to revert back to this. Because this, to me, contradicts any criticism about money that wasn't made by some of the other movies that you're probably going to talk about. Which, by the way, we still haven't seen Superman. I'm not going to bet anything on it. I'm not a gambling person. But I'm thinking Superman's probably going to be top 2, maybe number 1. But she said it's going to surprise us. So Superman might be number 2, and number 1 might be something else completely. But we'll see. It might even be Snow White, right? It might be Snow White. We'll see.
Now, number 4 is going to be a little bit embarrassing on this list, guys. There is going to be a tie here for number 4, and it's for no other reason than I legitimately forgot that I watched this film. I legitimately forgot that I watched Jurassic World Rebirth, and I think that speaks volumes here. So, yeah, we're going to have to put an unfortunate tie between the number 4 spots. But, yeah, Jurassic World Rebirth, an absolutely terrible film that is overstuffed with way too many characters. This weird subplot about a dad accepting this really, really gross boyfriend of his daughter that went absolutely nowhere.
By the way, I do have an issue with that story element. The side story with the family, I didn't like it, but I understand it's necessary because they wanted to bring families into the movie, and so they felt like they had to include some sort of family element. I didn't like it either, but I still think the other parts of the movie were good. I had a good time with the movie. I just didn't like the subplot with the family.
It's basically just a movie that is overstuffed with too many characters.
And this would not be in my top 5 worst. I wouldn't put it there. I don't know if it'd be on my best list, but I don't think it would be in my top 5 worst.
As they try to get some sort of special potion from the not dinosaurs. The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park movies have now just evolved into these random CG creatures, and there's no fear in them anymore, or any of the aspects that made the original Jurassic Park films either intelligent, as in the first one, or even scary. It's another movie that just does not understand what it worked about its predecessors and completely runs off of name only, hoping that the masses will come see the films for that name, though it seems that the bubble might be finally bursting on that. But yeah.
Based on what? What math are you going to show us? Because the movies, like movies in general, were down on average in 2025. This movie still performed well enough or got close enough to its target goal of $1 billion for it to be seen as successful. If you look at all the movies that came out in 2025. So I'm not sure what metric you're using, but your math ain't mathing. You're not going to explain it. I already know.
On a number 4 tie, Jurassic World Rebirth.
Now, number 4 on this list is fun because I know that this is going to get people. I know that people are going to be so mad that this is so high on.
I mean, it's either Captain America or Thunderbolts, right? It's one of those two. It has to be. Because you say it's going to make people mad. If it's Captain America, I expect it. If it's Thunderbolts, I don't. But let's see what you're going to put at number 4 as a tie.
On the list, but it's true. Number 4 on my list of worst of 2025 is Superman.
Oh.
And I say...
Why is it surprising? This is the least surprising one. I thought this was going to be number 1 because you hate James Gunn. So maybe your list is going to shock me. Maybe I am going to be shocked by your number 1. Possibly. Like I said, it's either this or Snow White, right? It's got to be one of those two things. So I guess it's going to be Snow White.
This with complete sincerity. I have only seen Superman once. And yes, I consider it worse than the Minecraft movie. The Minecraft movie, even though the plot was just kind of a little garnish on the film. And
I don't even know if you really have to explain this. I think everybody on your channel has seen every take you have on Superman at this point. The amount of videos you made about this, sis, like, is crazy, fam.
Not what it was interested at all. At least it had some sort of narrative that I was following, what little there was. Superman is a movie that is very, very clear to me, the kind of movie that you make when you don't want to make that movie. It was never more clear to me that James Gunn did not actually want to make a Superman film. That is why, at the earliest opportunity...
Even though he and everyone else around him have said the opposite, we're going to trust JesterBell. Trust me, sis, right? That's what we're going to do because you say so. That's interesting. You can have your own personal opinion that you don't like it, but trying to suggest that James Gunn didn't want to make the movie just because you feel like he didn't want to make the movie is not a fact. And I know your community runs on feelings. Feelings is the gasoline pumped into your cars. Like, I get that, but it just doesn't make sense.
He punted Superman off to be in prison for the majority of the movie while he played around with...
The majority of the movie, a portion of the second act. But okay, go ahead.
His not Guardians of the Galaxy team. The movie is like an endless barrage of...
There is no team like Guardians of the Galaxy in the Superman movie. That doesn't exist. You have the Justice Gang, which is 3 people who aren't really part of Superman's team. They go off and they do things, and Superman steps in like one time in the movie to assist with them on something. And that's about it. He doesn't really have another team working with him. He has Crypto, and then he has the robots that he back in the fortress. But overall, it's just basically him. It's basically him. And then Mr. Terrific does some stuff on his own too. That's pretty much it, though.
Stuff happening. Once again, a movie made for the TikTok generation. It scarcely ever gave itself a chance to breathe. It was always going on to the next thing and the next development and the next location and the next area. For a film that is supposed to start a new universe, I left it not feeling like I understood this universe or that this felt like a new world any more than when I came into the film, because it just spent its time just word vomiting and text vomiting out so much stuff that was already in this universe. It never really gave itself a chance to breathe and establish itself. Lex Luthor's plan in this movie is taken down because he didn't realize that his girlfriend was taking selfies by his very super top secret plan. He never compensated her phone or anything.
Right, which suggests that he has an ego and he doesn't think anyone is smarter than him. That's the point. I know it's hard to believe, JesterBell, but that's the point. They wanted to show that his ego is the problem. He thinks he's smarter and better than everyone else. And since he considered her to be one of the dumbest people that he knows, she managed to trick him because he didn't see it coming. Media literacy, everyone. Pay attention to the movies you're watching.
This is probably the weakest Superman we've ever got, where Crypto has to win for him, and the Justice Gang crowds out his screen time. And I would say that it is fundamentally a problem.
Yeah, how much screen time did the Justice Gang get? Now, you could argue Mr. Terrific got a lot of screen time, but we barely got anything from Hawkgirl. And Guy Gardner was just kind of a jokey guy in the movie. So I don't know why you think the Justice Gang got so much screen time. Mr. Terrific got a lot, but the Justice Gang as a team did not.
That James Gunn doesn't seem to get the character of Superman. Right. Superman, to me, always had a maturity to him, a wisdom, sort of a paternity figure. Superman in this film seems naive and confused about how the world...
It's almost like he's kind of just getting into the role. It's kind of like that's the problem, is that he's learning to be Superman here. He's learning to be a better character. He's not like 20 years into the game. That's what it feels like to me, like he's still relatively finding his way. But okay, go off. Come on.
works. He doesn't even feel confident in himself by the end of the film.
Right.
And James Gunn said that was the point, that Superman is still trying to convince himself of what he believes in and what he's all about, not that he's sure of himself. So
And he had to tell you that because you don't have media literacy. That's why. So you had to, James Gunn had to articulate that to you in an interview because you were not able to comprehend what is happening in the movie. That's the reason why. Anybody that watched the movie and was paying attention to it would see that there was a lack of confidence, and that was the thing he was struggling with in the movie. It's very obvious in the film. But go ahead.
he doesn't even get a complete arc. And it's heartbreaking behind the scenes to see that David Corenswet got Superman, but every time he confronted James Gunn about something, it would be shot down with James Gunn's vision for this character that he was never into doing.
Yeah, because contrary to whatever belief you have, David Corenswet didn't write or direct this movie. He's the actor. He's not the person in charge of making those decisions. That's literally the way it works. But who am I to question you? You know what you're talking about. So continue, please.
In the first place, as he said from interviews. In addition to the film feeling like it was fast-forwarded and barely taking any chance to breathe, it also had too much James Gunn's isms in it. I was hoping it would be free from the James Gunn humor and all of that, but it...
Right, in a James Gunn movie. Right. Okay, let's go.
wasn't. And I've got to say, with the yellow filter on a lot of the scenes, it didn't even look good. And that is why Superman is so high on the list.
The yellow filter. So we're back to the piss filter thing that you talked about with Supergirl. Amazing. Let's continue. I'm very curious what your top three are. I'm very curious. I wonder if it's going to be more Marvel stuff, if it's going to be more Disney stuff, what it's going to be, because you've kind of blown my mind a little bit by putting Superman here and not number one. But let's go.
I legitimately think that James Gunn's Superman is an awful film. Number 3 on my list is War of the Worlds.
I'm not going to disagree with this. I take that back. I was talking about Minecraft being at the top of my list. This would easily be the top. This is an awful movie. This should shock no one. Matter of fact, I think this should be number one on everybody's list, to be honest. If you've seen this movie, you will know why this should be number one on your list. But let's hear why it is she's got it at 3. Because it being at 3 means there should be some sort of redeeming qualities to it. There's literally no redeeming qualities to this movie at all. It is just shit. It is an awful fucking movie.
It's you! It's you!
Yeah. Well, yes, kind of.
How could you, man? How could you?
Now, yes, I couldn't, as much as I hate the Superman film, I can't bring myself to say that it is any worse than this film. War of the Worlds is one of the most meme-to-death films of the year, where made during COVID with people who can't acting in front of their computers, pretending that there is some sort of alien invasion happening, and the results are hilarious. Ice Cube gives one of the most embarrassingly wonderful performances of all time, right up there with Tommy Wiseau in The Room. The entire thing was ultimately just an advertisement for Amazon, and it had some of the most embarrassing product placements that I've ever seen, like characters using Amazon products and Amazon tape and Amazon drones in order to solve their problems against this alien invasion. There was an actor in the film who you could tell filmed the entire thing with him on a gold.
I have no notes on this because, I mean, I don't really see any reason to defend the movie. Like, if I were doing my list, this would be number one. For sure.
Of course, and he's supposed to be like this government official, and it was just so embarrassing. I've never seen a film produced by professionals in Hollywood where you could see the cardboard and the tape just falling apart. However, like I said, I'm grading these movies on a lot of different factors, and, you know, objective and subjective.
Well, I mean, like, well, you said objective earlier, now it's subjective and subjective. It's mostly subjective, which is fine. It's your personal list. I'm not going to criticize you for that. But I don't see any rhyme or reason on why these are placed where they are. You're not giving, like, some movies you're saying are good and then they're lower, and then other movies that are worse are higher. It doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for where they are. But this one being at number 3, I'm not going to argue, but I would put it at number 1.
And one of those factors is, was there anything to enjoy about the film? Well, I think War of the Worlds was definitely the worst made film of the year, but I can't say that it was my worst experience. Well, the beginning was a bit dull. Eventually, the film was just so hilarious in terms of everything that went wrong with it.
Right.
I was actually enjoying myself, and the memes were wonderful.
What? Pay attention to me. This is not a so bad it's good movie. It is just a bad movie. It is bad. If you want to engage with this movie whatsoever, clips are good enough. You don't have to watch this movie. It is not worth it. Trust me.
It's one of those so bad it's good
It's
type
not.
of films. And that's
It is not. Big buzzer. It is not. That's cap. It's not so bad it's good. I don't know what she's talking about.
why it doesn't, while it might be the worst made film that I watched all year, I can't put it at number 1 because I did find some entertainment value and enjoyment out of it. And it actually is not a bad memory of.
It's so funny to me that she spent a big chunk of this video trashing movies for their quality because she thinks it's going to be the death of theaters, right? Minecraft is the death of theaters, these things or whatever. But she's totally okay with literally a movie made with egregious product placement in it. Egregious product placement. Made during COVID with bad acting, bad special effects, not bringing anything interesting to the conversation because she had a good time with it. This is called a double standard. This is a double standard. How does she know that some of these other movies that she trashed, how does she know that people didn't go to them and have a good time watching them for the same reason? How does she know that? She doesn't know. This is a double standard. Doesn't make sense.
Be having to experience that movie. But now we are up to my top 2 worst movies of 2025. And this is where I think it's going to be controversial. I bet you think that my number 1 worst movie of the year is going to be Snow White. Now,
she knew it. She called it. I have to give her credit. That's what I thought for sure. But it's going to be number 2, and then you're going to surprise us with number 1, I bet, right?
now, Snow White, I think, might be one of the worst Disney movies ever made. It definitely, objectively, it definitely is up there because of how it took the original Disney animated film, the original film that saved Disney and actually began the mainstream animation industry. The animation industry would not exist with that movie. Without that movie, Disney would not exist without that movie. So it definitely deserves a high spot on this list, and I can completely understand putting it as number 1. Snow White is just such an interesting film to watch in terms.
I had a rough time with Snow White. There's a couple people that I stream with that really enjoy this movie, and there's a couple people I stream with that just hate this movie, and I understand why. I don't think it was a successful movie for a few reasons. I don't think it had that wow factor that grabbed people. I didn't see a lot of, we have a lot of family members with kids and stuff, and they aren't talking about the movie. They weren't singing the songs in the film. They didn't really care about it that way. And I think Snow White is kind of a dead IP for Disney in the sense that if they want to bring it back, I think it's going to have to be in some sort of animated film or something. I don't think they're going to be able to do it in live action. I think that was a mistake on their part. I know there are people that love this movie, and that's fine. You're entitled to like the movie. I don't think it was very successful. However, I would not have put it ahead of War of the Worlds. I think that's really bad.
Of everything that went wrong with it, Rachel Zegler was horribly miscast as Snow White, as was Gal Gadot as the evil queen, who...
I think Gal Gadot as the evil queen was a miscast for me. I don't think Rachel Zegler was miscast as Snow White, unless you care about the fact that she's not pure white, which is an issue that I have with people who complain about her being in the role. She's absolutely talented enough to pull off the role, and she's able to sing and do all the stuff she needs to do. So it's just stupid to get upset about something like that.
Also, similarity to Ice Cube, gives an absolutely embarrassing performance. The song sequences are awful, whether it's original songs that also sound like they were written by AI and also sound like they were sung by AI, or the songs that were carried over from the original Snow White movie, which they actually stretch out and mangle until they're destroyed from the original versions. But so much about this film doesn't even make sense, and it's embarrassing to watch them bend over backwards so that they don't have to go to the problematic elements of the original movie.
There are problematic elements. I think she tried to defend it. I can't remember if it was her or someone else. I don't want to put words in her mouth. Maybe she didn't. But I remember there was a content creator that I watched that tried to defend the problematic elements of the original Snow White and the original story, which is why I think it's kind of a quote-unquote dead IP. I think it's really hard to modernize Snow White, and that's kind of the issue. But that's a different conversation.
Like, for example, not having Snow White bite into the apple because she's making a wish for true love. That would be sexist or something or other like that. She bites into the apple because the woman suggests that she needs to keep her calorie count up, literally. Or the elements where Disney did try to course correct last minute, like throwing in a romance and a romantic song that was the most random and forced thing possible because it wasn't supposed to be there in the original. Or having Snow White defeat the evil queen at the end by literally remembering people's names and how good the other times were so that they literally do what they could have done all along and just rise up against her. Snow White is such an embarrassment in terms of filmmaking and everything that...
These are all objective takes. I'm not really going to challenge her on them. I don't really care too much about that. I was lukewarm on the movie anyway. So, and she's not saying anything that's like absolutely wrong about the movie as far as I can remember. I only saw it one time. So, maybe I'm misremembering. But for me, nothing's jumping out as being like egregious. I think she doesn't like the movie, and that's fine.
Could possibly go wrong with filmmaking and how overly processed everything looks and how they were just so clearly embarrassed to do anything with the original movie because...
So there we go. I was trying to throw her a bone, right? I was trying to give her an in on this one, but Like, they're not embarrassed over this. They wanted the movie to do well because they want to sell more Snow White merchandise. She's one of those queens that just is, or princesses, I should say, that isn't quite as popular as the other ones, and Disney wants to revitalize some of these older characters. We're going to see more Snow White stuff. It's going to happen. Either that or they're going to retire Snow White as a character and kind of relegate her to the background at the Disney parks. That's what it's all about. It's about funneling money into the parks and into merchandise. That's what this is all for. So saying they're embarrassed about it is just ridiculous. They're not. They just want to make more money, and they're trying to do everything they can to do that. And sometimes you take an L on it, and that's with any of these live action things.
Because their ideology told them that everything in that original movie they were remaking was problematic, and just everything in this.
It's not an ideology. Like, their reasons for changing things make sense based on consent and other factors. There's no ideology present in that. Only a dumbass says ideology when they're talking about something like consent. Give me a break. Consent is consent. That's what it is. Otherwise, it's not. And we know what that's called.
Movie that is laughable or doesn't make sense. The only reason why it isn't number one on this list, though, is, like I said, I am judging by a lot of different factors. And was there entertainment value in the Snow White movie? Absolutely. It was hilarious. And the amount of things that just went wrong on so many levels with this film, I think are very interesting to talk about.
So why is this movie higher than movies that you hated more? Is this a reverse list? I don't understand. If War of the Worlds and Snow White had interesting elements in them, but you found nothing in Fantastic Four that you liked, right? You found nothing in Predator Badlands that you like. Why are those at the back of your list and not at the front of your list? I don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense.
And so in terms of being able to get any kind of enjoyment out of a movie this year, like Snow White, I walked out with my group that saw the film and we were laughing during the film and laughing afterwards because of how crazy it was. Snow White, I definitely think might be a contender for so bad it's good. And
so why is that movie and War of the Worlds 2 and 3 on your list then? Why are those movies 2 and 3 on your list of worst movies? What is the name of this video again? Worst movies I watched in 2025. Why are movies that you were laughing about and having some enjoyment on, why are they higher on a worse list than movies that you said had no redeeming qualities?
that is why it is number 2 on this list, not number 1. But you might be wondering now, if Snow White or War of the Worlds aren't my number 1 because I was able to get any...
I mean, Captain America is still a contender, right? I feel like it has to be. It has to be a contender for her. Thunderbolts? I don't know.
Sort of enjoyment out of them, even like so bad it's good enjoyment. What could possibly be my number 1? Well, it would have to be something so broken, so awful, that there was no enjoyment possible, that absolutely nothing, no redeeming qualities, no appreciation for the filmmaking, no seeing the director's vision, no humorous moments, no moments that were so bad it's good. It would have to be something that was completely devoid of any kind of positive experience or even acknowledgement of the craftsmanship behind it. That movie, I give you, is Captain America: Brave New World.
I had a feeling when she put Snow White second, I'm like, I think number 1 is going to, I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, should I say it out loud? Should I say it out loud? This makes sense to me. Like, this isn't a shocker to me. It's the only shocking part about it is that you didn't put Fantastic Four or Superman at number 1. But Captain America being number 1 is interchangeable with those other movies, in my opinion. But let's go ahead and see what you have to say. I don't remember if I watched JesterBell's reviews of Captain America. I don't know if I watched them, so this might be my first time hearing her thoughts on the movie.
Now, this film beats out even Avatar: Fire and Ash in terms of my worst experience at the theater this year. But not only that...
So why is Avatar: Fire and Ash at 8? Shouldn't it be at number 2? Okay, continue.
Captain America: Brave New World might be my worst experience at the theater, period, watching a movie. And it might be the worst MCU movie ever made. I had such a split...
I would say there's probably worse movies in this one. There's at least a couple of them that I would probably say are the worst. But let's hear what she has to say about Captain America.
Splitting headache that I have never experienced before and have never experienced since watching that movie, where it felt like a giant had reached its fingernails into my skull and was ripping it apart. That's how bad my headache felt. And it was because...
There's a black guy as the lead character. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, I paused her. Let's let her continue.
In part because of this movie, because the editing and the filming and the direction of this movie was so shaky and sporadic. There were shots in this movie that didn't even make sense to me. I noted one in particular that was like they filmed like an upward shot from the ground of three men's heads getting their picture taken. It was like, why on earth are we looking at a shot of the back of three men's heads looking up into the sky, not them, but the camera, when they're getting their picture taken? Stuff like that. You know, action sequences that were clearly edited to death to hide the fact that the action sequences were so bad. So just...
No, that's not why. That's not why. The third act of the movie was trashed. It was thrown out because of whatever reason. There's conflicting stories on why they did it. But the point is they got rid of the third act. They had to redo the movie. Red Hulk became the main big bad at the end of the movie. So the third act was completely changed. They had to, in order to get to that third act, they had to change things in the first and second act leading up to that. So there was a lot of editing issues in the movie. For me, though, Captain America Brave New World is just an okay movie. It's just okay. Like, it's not awful. It's not great. It's just okay. There's a lot worse things that Marvel have done. But let's continue.
Chop it full with as many edits as possible from, you know, the scene in the beginning where Falcon is fighting and he's still Falcon to me, or the scene...
Right, because you're a racist. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Why would he still be Falcon to you? What is the reason for this? Why would you say that? I'm just curious. Anybody in the comments, can you explain to me why you wouldn't call a character by their code name given to them in the comics and then in the movies? Why you wouldn't do that? What would be the reason for that? Would you not call John Walker Captain America? I'm wondering. I'm actually going to have to check because I think she made a video about that. Would you not call John Walker Captain America? Because if you would call John Walker Captain America but not Sam Wilson Captain America, then we have a problem. We have a big problem. But anyway, let's move on.
Where he's fighting that one guy's character who I can't remember his name, who Giancarlo Esposito, I think. Like, just so much of this.
Can't even remember his name. Why? Did you not read the comics? You don't know who these characters are? Is that why?
Movie with the editing and the direction was just so sporadic and shaky, and there were so many edits and so much bad green screen.
How many times is she going to say shaking and edits? How many, like, should we get a counter? A little ding, 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 ding every time she says it? Let's see if she says it anymore.
I think I saw the worst green screen that I have ever seen in a film ever in this movie, or mainstream film that is, because they were clearly affected by reshoots and having to reinsert things into it. This scene of Sam Wilson in front of the green screen is one of the worst lit, worst made things I have ever seen in a movie this year. But yeah, this movie was so bad, there wasn't anything to laugh at or feel good about.
Also, now you want Marvel humor. Now you want the Disney humor. Before it was a checkbox. It was literally like 3-4 jokes in Predator Badlands. That was a problem. But here, there's no humor. That's a negative. It's a negative in this movie. Interesting.
Or even really, get into and analyze the hilarity of what everything went wrong. It was just pure misery, and I felt so miserable watching this film, and it wasn't even that long, but it was so disheartening to me to see how far the MCU has fallen. Right. Sam Wilson used to be a very
even though this movie was the first movie of the year, and we had 2 other Marvel movies after that one, but it's like this one is the worst, it's fallen here, but then we had a really good movie like Thunderbolts, and then an okay movie like Fantastic Four. But so no credit for the other movies that came after that picked things back up. No credit for that. But let's continue.
Like character. They took him in a certain direction when he became Captain America, though, and they walked back.
Oh, but I thought he was still Falcon. Now the problem is the direction they took him in when he became Captain America. So you're acknowledging that he is Captain America. So what was all that about, like, he's still Falcon, he's not Captain America? Was that just you speaking to a certain demographic? What demographic were you speaking to when you said that?
On it because it got too politicized. So the result is the Sam Wilson we get in Brave New World is a non-character. I don't know what motivates him. I don't know who he is anymore. The only sort of semblance of development he says is saying that there's a lot of pressure in keeping up being Captain America. But at the same time, everyone validates him as Captain America in this film.
Right, because outside validation equals you can't feel like a sense of imposter syndrome. It's impossible, everyone. You heard it from JesterBell. Imposter syndrome doesn't exist because you're getting outside validation. I'm shocked. I didn't know that was a thing.
The point where he even has a Captain America palace at one point that's revealed, like a Batcave. It's ridiculous. This movie feels like it was made by people who have never...
So the Captain America palace is ridiculous, but the Batcave isn't. Got it. Totally tracks.
Ever watched a superhero film before, but are just going off of what the idea of superheroes are based on some iconography. Like, once again, superheroes have stuff like a lair, like a bat cave. So let's give one to Sam Wilson. Superheroes have sidekicks. Let's give him a random sidekick that no one cares about and also has no character. Sam Wilson is destroying more.
That no one cares about. I love it when they toss that in there. No one cares about this character. Did you do a poll? You got some numbers on that? Or is it just trust me, sis? I think it's just trust me, sis.
Ways than one, though, because he used to have his own identity as Falcon, which is why he's still Falcon to me, because that's when I liked him. But as Captain America, they do this.
So you didn't like the fact that they changed him to Captain America, even though he's still the same character. He just wears red, white, and blue. Now you have a problem with it? I'm going to need you to explain that in more detail. Saying that he's no longer a character doesn't make sense. He's got all that backstory that he still has. None of that's changed. You act like there was a reset and he just became Captain America and none of that other stuff counts. When it absolutely does. That's why they gave him the shield. That's why he has the shield.
Weird thing where he won't take the super soldier serum, so he compensates by having a ton of gear, so he's more like an Iron Man than a Captain America.
Or he's more like Falcon, right? Falcon had tech and gear. That's what he did. So all they did was they said, hey, here's the shield. We're going to give you the title of Captain America, but we still want you to be authentic to who you are. He wasn't trying to be Iron Man. He wasn't trying to be Tony Stark. He wasn't trying to be Steve Rogers. He was Sam Wilson, elevated from his Falcon status to Captain America, rightfully so. And that's it. There's like, you're making it seem like all of a sudden he was wearing a full mechanized suit or something like that. It's not what happened.
It's ridiculous, but even with all of that, for whatever reason, they made the worst decision they could have possibly made by making Sam Wilson Captain America with all this overpowered gear go up against a character who's going to crush all that gear, that being the Red Hulk.
Right, because Iron Man never fought the Hulk. You just compared Falcon's tech to Iron Man, and now you're saying it's ridiculous for this Iron Man, Falcon, Captain America to face off against the Hulk when literally one of the best things we got in Age of Ultron was the Hulk versus Iron Man. Do you even, is it hollow up here in your head? I don't know if it's hollow. Maybe that's a step too far. Let's let you continue. But I think you're forgetting stuff.
And to get to the Red Hulk, I just felt bad for Harrison Ford in this movie because he's so aged at this.
You shouldn't feel bad for him. He got a nice paycheck for doing that. he got a nice paycheck. You shouldn't feel bad for him. Guys at his age that are making movies still are doing it for the money.
Point. You can tell, like I heard that he injured himself or something on set. You can tell that he's just too old to be running around like this. And it just felt...
Oh, ages stuff. Right. Because he was actually the Red Hulk. Like all that fighting and stuff, that was him. You didn't know that, guys? You didn't know that he was out there running around doing all the fight choreography and stuff? Yeah. They totally, he turned into the Red Hulk and he was doing all that himself. Was not CGI. He's too old for that. Too old for CGI.
Abusive to put him in an action movie where he's kind of being tormented by this creature when he's just clearly too old for all of that. You could tell that this movie originally had, a similar situation to the Elio movie where it was originally going to be very politicized, very, very cynical, and you could tell that in the earlier scenes. But they got scared, so they gutted it and reworked it to death.
Yeah, they got scared because of all the stuff going on between Israel and Palestine. That's it. But that is because of social political pressure. That's the reality of it. And yeah, I think the third act suffered because of the changes they made. But they couldn't release the movie the way it was. So they were stuck between a rock and a hard place. If they would have delayed this Captain America movie even further, then it would have pushed everything back. And they weren't going to do that. So we got what we got.
So it also has the Elio syndrome, where it's clearly a movie that's been gutted and tried to be reworked into something that won't be as offensive, but the result is an incoherent film.
I don't think it was offensive, like in-your-face offensive. I don't think that's what it was. I think we have some real-life war shit going on that would have been bad for them in terms of like trying to put a movie out that included some elements of that felt like it was connected to that, including a character. So they made the decision to do that because they were worried about the movie not performing well at the box office already because we have a bunch of racist people who don't want to see a black Captain America. So they made a choice. They made that choice. And I don't know if the movie would have done better or worse if it would have came out in its original state. I have no idea.
Looking back on it, even though we're almost a year out from it, I do believe it is a strong contender, at least, for the worst MCU film, and it might even be the worst, with its competition being The Marvels and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
I don't think The Marvels is even close to being one of the worst MCU films. I think that's stupid. Quantumania has a lot of mistakes in it. I still enjoy the movie. I don't think it's a great film. There's a lot of things that I could nitpick on it. But, yeah, I don't know. There's a couple other Marvel movies I would probably, put in that category, but that's not really what this is about.
It showed me how far this universe that I loved has fallen, and that where
Right.
it's not even recognizable as one of the biggest, superhero universes in the world.
It still is. I don't care how successful the DCU is, it'll never make as much money or have as much cultural impact as the MCU had. And JesterBell knows that. But okay, continue.
Most recognizable, one of the legitimate ones. It feels like a knockoff, like a TV
The only one. There'll never be another comic book empire like the MCU. It'll never happen. Not like the MCU did. That's never going to happen.
superhero movie, a Sheen superhero movie, made by people, once again, who don't know what the Marvel Universe or a superhero movie is supposed to be.
It's literally the same people running the ship. Kevin Feige is still in charge. But okay, continue. Which is weird though. Wait, hold on. Don't continue. It's really weird because you claim James Gunn is the Kevin Feige of the DCU and that he controls everything. But here you act like Kevin Feige is MIA and there's other people running these movies that aren't actually connected with Kevin Feige or the studio heads. That's really weird. It's almost like you'll say anything to make your narrative work.
Ones that are just going off of the iconography of things that they've heard about superheroes based on the culture.
You've
which
already
is
said
why
this.
it
You
was
could've cut that out.
unquestionably my worst film on this list. Like, the director was inexperienced, and you could tell that he was just a yes man to create this film, and it was made by committee. There is nothing, absolutely nothing about this film. It had an inexperienced director that was just there to be a yes man for this committee-made film. There's no vision behind it. The editing and cinematography and action sequences are atrocious. The destruction of the characters are atrocious, and it just shows the absolute rock bottom for an MCU film, an absolute rock bottom for superhero films in general, which is no wonder why they're bringing back Steve Rogers Captain America after this abysmal failure.
So it is about the black guy. It is about the black guy then. Because they could just ignore Captain America, right? So the thing is, they could ignore Captain America completely and move on with the MCU in another direction and not worry about it. But because there's a bunch of racist people who don't want to see a black Captain America, in order to do damage control, they have to bring the white guy back. That's what you're saying. It's not what I'm saying, it's what you're saying. You just admitted it here in this video. Anyway, that's it. We're going to go. I can't take any more of this. This was fun to point and laugh. And we even got some debunks in here, which I think was good. I didn't know if we would, but we got some debunks in here. Anyway, I hope you guys are going to have a good New Year's. I know that by the time some people watch this video, it will probably already be the New Year. So happy New Year to anybody that is watching this in the New Year. And if you're not, I hope you guys have a great New Year's Eve. Be very safe tonight. Be very careful. Enjoy, but be responsible. And here's to more debunking in 2026. Take care.